Close your eyes if you would like. And imagine with me that you're walking in an open field. It's an absolutely beautiful open field. You feel the about 70-degree breeze on your face, no humidity, just a gorgeous day. And we walk, and over in the distance, we see a circle, this massive circle of people. They're laughing, they're talking, they're having a wonderful time. The circle, it's such a happy place. And as we walk and as we get closer, we see right over there, there's our place. We see our name and we go and we stand in our place in the circle and smell the fresh air. Feel the cool breeze. Feel the sunshine on our shoulders. Feel that energy of joy and passion and wonder and abundance and not only acceptance but welcoming kindness and possibility. We feel that and it just feels so good. The circle is a home to satisfying relationships, meaningful work, endless resources and opportunities, laughter, creativity, and enoughness. There's always enough. We always have enough. We always are enough. There's no fence around this circle, regardless of your age, your weight, the color of your skin, your gender, your education, your sexual orientation, your financial status, your past, or other people's opinion of you. You belong in this circle. It feels so good. Just feel that and breathe that and allow that for a moment. Now, purposefully step back out of the circle. Stand at a distance, looking at the circle, but no longer inside it. Notice how you feel when you've taken yourself out. You may feel lonely, separate, invisible, or disconnected, but it also might feel familiar because so many of us come from that place of being outside the circle. Now, step back into the circle and feel the love and the joy and the passion and the peace. Notice the difference? And come back into the room when you're ready. Recognize that our place in the circle has nothing to do with anybody except us, because we decide. We decide. We attach meaning to what's happened in our lives. We attach meaning to what somebody said or didn't say or did or didn't do. And then our place in the circle is determined by what we accept as our truth. Always, always, always. And the good news is, at any point, if we find ourselves outside, we can step back in. So I'm talking this morning about enoughness. And I don't know if that's a word or not, but I just used it so it is now. But how many of us come from that place of not enoughness? This morning, did we have enough coffee? Did we get enough sleep? Did we have enough time to get here this morning? Will we have enough time this afternoon to get to Publix and then run home and get ready for the Buccaneers game? If you're into that. Do we have enough? Did we do the dinner dishes last night? Did I? I did, yes. When you're staying at somebody else's house, you kind of need to do your dirty dishes. But did we? Did we do enough yesterday? Will we do enough this afternoon? Or do we come from that place of lack and struggle and not enoughness? Because as we know, life is lived from the inside out. And so if we set our tone for the day, consciously or unconsciously, in not enoughness, then later this afternoon, there won't be enough guacamole at Publix because we come from the place of not enoughness. There won't be enough time. We won't have enough smarts. We won't know because we're out of the circle and projecting that experience into every area of our lives. So what keeps us out of the circle? Something that somebody said. And this is a slippery slope, but I will tell you that ministers don't always know what they're talking about. It is a slippery slope to say that because, and I was talking with a dear friend about my trip to Tampa and what I was going to do, and I was working on my talk. And he said, "Your what?" And I said, "My talk." We don't call this a sermon. We call this a talk because we are sharing ideas with you and you get to decide if it's true for you or not. I absolutely love that. I'm not preaching at you. I'm not a preacher. I'm a minister. I'm sharing ideas with you and you get to decide what's true for you and what's not. But thank you. But what do we carry that keeps us out of the circle about original sin, about all of that stuff, to use a purely metaphysical term, all that stuff that we've carried with us and somebody that we thought knew what they were talking about said it, and so it must be true, but what if it's not? It keeps us out of the circle. Shame about something that happened in our past, about the color of our skin, about our sexual orientation, about whatever it is, can keep us out of the circle. Resentment and regret can keep us out of the circle with a need for forgiveness. I resent you for what you did or didn't do, and I regret that I said yes or no, or didn't say yes or no when I should have, and so we carry that, which is a whole nother Sunday talk. We'll talk about that later. But the need for forgiveness of ourselves and of others. Instead, when we're in the circle, we recognize that Course in Miracles says, everyone and everything leans toward me to bless me. Doesn't that feel good? It might not be an obvious blessing, it might take us days or months or years or centuries or decades to figure out that there was a blessing there, but there always is. We have to allow ourselves to look at it. The circle includes people that we have things in common with. One of my very most favorite sitcoms is Mom. Do you remember? It's Allison Janney and some other amazing actors and actresses, and it's about the experience of substance abuse and how it affects the family and their successes and their not successes and their experiences. And it's so good, and I have no idea where I was going with that thought. The train just fell off the bridge. That's all right. It'll come. Oh, I know. So in the circle are people that we have things in common with, such as, and if you're in the recovery community, if you have an experience with that, going to a meeting, recognizing I'm not the only. You mean I'm not the only one? You mean I'm not the only one that experienced this? I went to, several years ago, I went to a couple of Al-Anon meetings, and it was, you mean I'm not the only one? And of course, that's such a great value to this experience is no, you're not the only one. So the connection in the circle is people that we have things in common with. And the connection in the circle is people that we have nothing in common with, but yet that make our hearts sing and make our hearts hurt, and we want to offer compassion and unconditional love. It was mentioned earlier that I work with homeless 18 to 24-year-olds in San Diego. The organization is Urban Street Angels, and we have about 140 formerly homeless youth in one of our housing programs. They aged out of foster care and weren't able to stay in the home anymore. They came out as LGBTQ and were kicked out of the home. Just for whatever reason, there was no home for them to stay in, and they wound up almost on the streets, or even actually on the streets, and found our program. I'm a founding board member, so I've been around with the organization for 11 years, and I started back working full-time a couple of years ago, and I was doing the front desk security. So you need a key fob to get into the building, so you fob your way in, and you come to the front desk, and we go through, please empty your pockets, take the stuff out of your backpack, just want to make sure there's nothing that you shouldn't have coming into the building. And so it was my first day, and I'm so excited, and I love meeting the youth, and this is so great. And a young man came down from upstairs, and he came around the corner, and he said, "Oh my goodness, you look just like my grandpa." And I called my boss, and I said, "Done. I'm done. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home and watch Mom reruns or 2.5 Men reruns. I am done." And we laughed and moved on. But I had some issues about that, and maybe because I have shoes older than all of these young people, 18 to 24 years old, I don't have, and I was never homeless, was never an issue of rejection, anything like that. And so I was really questioning, well, maybe I don't belong there. And the still small voice said, "Of course you do, and let me show you." So a few days later, one of the youth came into the offices, and I was there, and he was so excited about getting his first car, a 2004 BMW for $1,000. Well, if you've ever had an older, especially European car, you know that it comes with joys and wonders, even before you put the key in the hole, in the lock. So I said, "I am so excited for you. That's going to be so cool. Where are you going to park it?" Oh, because we have parking for the employees, but we don't have parking for the youth because most of them don't have cars. Oh. Do you have the title? No, he's going to get it for me. You know you're going to need a smog certificate in California. Oh. You're going to need to register it, and you're going to need to insure it before you go to the DMV because you need the proof of insurance to register it for yourself. And I felt a little guilty after he left with his chin dragging on the floor, bless his heart, because that was, I know, not the news he wanted, but the point is, we come with, and no matter what our age or experience, we come with knowledge, we come with wisdom, we come with experience that other people might not have. So how important it is, and we'll talk more about this, how important it is for us to recognize when we get an idea and it's the still small voice saying, "You should really get involved in this." It makes our hearts sing and our tails wag and whatever else. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. We'll talk more about that. So I forgave Tyler for telling me that I looked like his grandfather. The circle invites, encourages, and challenges each of us to include everything. Wholeness. Of all the topics, thank you so much to Daily Word for cooperating with me in having this absolutely perfect theme for today. But our wholeness includes all of those things that we don't want to look at, all of those things that we thought were wrong or bad, all of those experiences that we judged as less than wonderful, It all is part of who we are. It's the guest house. It's the joys and wonders and the cranky and the hateful and the surly and all of that. That's who we are. That's who we are as the beloved. It's just all part of us and part of this human experience. Residing in the circle, we are enough. We have enough. We do enough. Now, I love to talk about things we don't like to talk about. I love to talk about grief. I love to talk about forgiveness. And I love to talk about I'm already enough. And in New Thought, we love to take classes, which is awesome. And we love to attend workshops tomorrow at 2 o'clock, by the way, which is wonderful. And we should, that word should, there it comes up again, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We love to do that, and it's wonderful that we do that, but why? Are we doing it because once we finish that, once we get our LUT or our minister's degree or our bachelor's or our master's or our whatever, then we'll be enough? Or do we recognize that right here in this moment we are already enough? Let's do those things. Let's do that because it's awesome and it's wonderful and it opens our minds and opens our hearts and allows us to connect with other people and hang out together. But recognize that it's not so that we'll be okay, because we already are. We are already the beloved. As you probably know, and I get to announce it if you didn't see it in the newsletter, Reverend Tracey's theme for 2024 has to do with our cornerstone. And the cornerstone of this beloved community, but I would also suggest it is our personal cornerstone. Do we come from this place of enoughness, of being the beloved? Or do we come from this place of, well, I'll be acceptable as soon as. I'll be lovable as soon as. I'll be okay as soon as. Because we are already whole, complete, and perfect. We are already the beloved of God. So I love Facebook. I'm not a stockholder. I have no financial interest in Facebook. It's just, I absolutely love it. I've connected with wonderful people that I haven't seen in forever on Facebook. And I get ads for some interesting stuff. And there is that opportunity to just keep scrolling, and people get so upset. I can't believe they wrote that. I can't believe they said that. And I just want to remind them, so keep scrolling. It's okay. But I also get advertisements for really awesome things, and one of those that I found was this book by Jamie Veron, Radically Content. It's amazing. There's a number of copies out in the bookstore this morning. If you'd like to stop and take a look, you don't need the book to attend the workshop tomorrow. I will have a workbook for everybody that attends, so buy it if you want to, but you don't need it to attend the workshop tomorrow. But in the book, she totally spoke to my heart, because I come from this place of I'll be acceptable, I'll be lovable, I'll be good as soon as. It's the destination anxiety that we'll talk about in a minute. But in the book, she writes about this question that really touched my heart, and it might yours. Have you ever really wanted to do something or be something or have something or stop doing something or stop having something, and the thought that came to you that shook you to the core of your being is, but what will they think? What will they think? What decisions have we made? What decisions do we make in our lives based on a fear of, but what will they think? Quoting from the book, What will they think is the question that robs us of our dreams and happiness more than any other. Who is they, and why do we care so much what they think? Who is this faceless group of people that is going to come for us if we don't measure up to their ideal? And why are we not really encouraged to examine this idea we take as an absolute inconvertible truth? We do not need to spend our lives in pursuit of achievements that have no real value to us internally. The goal is to be the most expressed version of yourself. You should feel free to jump in the pool with your bathing suit on or off. My words, not hers, just saying. To wear sleeveless dresses, to love with abandon, to create the art that lights you up, to construct and build an entire life that is so you, there's no room for comparison. You deserve to love your life so much that it doesn't matter who affirms or denies you. Yes, I know, right? No resentment, no regret, but I have a long list of, and I find myself still, I just really want to say yes to that, or I really want to say no to that. But what will they think? How important it is for us to trust ourselves, to trust that still small voice, to trust that inner wisdom, to trust that gut, whatever you want to call it, but that inner knowing that, yes, this makes my tail wag and I want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. We'll talk about the sacred no tomorrow afternoon and share ideas on how we are with that. And is it okay for us to say, thank you so much for that, but I'm not doing that? In love and compassion and gratitude, but no. And how much time do we spend saying no? You know, do we need to, well, that was so wonderful of you, but I can't do it because, and then we go on for 5 or 10 minutes about all the reasons we couldn't, rather than saying, thanks so much. I know it'll be a great time, enjoy, but I'm not doing it. In the book, Radically Content, she writes about self-trust. When you trust yourself, you hold yourself. It is knowing the difference between what's real within and what has been programmed into you. So even as I say that, I hear Frank Sinatra singing My Way, remember? Those of you of a certain age will remember that song. If you don't remember that song, I don't want to hear about it. And it's okay. When we stand in our truth and say yes, when we're called to say yes, and say no when we're called to say no, we avoid that resentment and regret. Have you ever, I don't want to do that, they asked, and I don't want to do that, I really don't want to do that, but okay. And then I spend however many hours or days regretting, yes, why did I say yes to that? So I regret saying yes, and then I resent you for even asking because you know I'd say yes. Do we do that? The Bible says, oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. And it doesn't go on to say this, but because we don't trust ourselves to say, yes, that's mine to do. No, that's not mine to do. That's all we need to do. It's because it's our decision. Yesterday was the 12th day of Christmas, and many spiritual traditions celebrate Epiphany. The opportunity is always for us. Course in Miracles talks about the holy instant. Something happens. Someone says something. Someone asks something. We always have the opportunity to take that holy instant moment and decide if it's ours to do or not. To experience that epiphany. Is this mine to do or not? Not, worrying about what they'll think. Again, always coming from love and gratitude for the opportunity, but either saying yes or saying no, depending on which way we're led. So why does it matter? Why does it matter? You might have heard this before. It's done unto us as we believe. If we don't believe we're in the circle, if we don't believe we're deserving of all the good that life has for us, we might settle for that job, that relationship, that car, that experience, rather than saying, no, I want something more. Thank you, but no, I want something more. I want something better. Because very often the choices we make in life reflect what we believe about ourselves. If we put people's opinion and our need for their approval before our own, we're settling for a life that is not honestly and truly ours. Wisdom comes in surprising and wonderful ways, and one of the episodes from Mom, of all places, one of the actors is talking about her need for approval, and the other actress says, if you're working so hard to get someone else's approval, you're making them your higher power. Wow. How far do we go? How far do we go to get somebody's approval? And again, discounting what we're called to do or not called to do. It's what is today? Is today the 7th? Yes. So 7 days into the new year, do you do New Year's resolutions? No? Good for you. And if you do, is it a carbon copy of last year's? I used that expression a couple of years ago, and I had many people in the audience look at me like, oh, what? So if you don't know what a carbon copy is, see me afterwards. But there's some number of younger people in this room, right, that don't know what a carbon copy is. But for the rest of us, we know the carbon paper and all the rest of that. But the point is that we resolved last year, by God, I'm going to do this. And we got to the end of January and we didn't. But do we use what we didn't do to beat ourselves up for the rest of the year? Well, you said you were going to do that and you didn't. Or do we maybe get past that whole experience of New Year's resolutions? Just a thought. So, not to say that we need to settle. So I love this idea of being radically content, not that we have to settle for lack or struggle or just enough, but really recognize what's true for us and what's not, what's ours to do and what's not, what resonates for us and what doesn't, and make those decisions and those statements and live our lives based on that inner wisdom and what we're really called to do. So in this moment, we get to take our place in the circle. And if anything came up for you this morning that's keeping you out of being one of the cool kids, I invite you to just let it go. Just drop it in the field. Drop it in the field and step back into the circle. The truth of you is that you were always there. We were always there. We're always the beloved exactly as we are, but we believed what somebody told us. And because it's ours to do, we can make a new choice. We can make a new decision. Would you join me in prayer for just a minute? So in the peace and the quiet of this moment, we stay in this consciousness of love and welcoming inclusion and gratitude for the opportunity to be together today, to be reminded of the truth of our being, that we're already whole, complete, and perfect. And moving forward through this day and this week, we allow ourselves to consider is this mine to do? Does this make my heart sing? Does this make my tail wag? And make those decisions based on the truth of our being more concerned about what works for us and less concerned about what other people will think. Because, quoting Edwin Gaines, God doesn't have grandchildren. So each of us is the beloved. Each of us has a purpose. Each of us is here for a reason. So we allow that to be our cornerstone in 2024. So for this community, for our time together, for this glorious day, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is, amen.